Good morning, everybody. This is your FP1 Azerbaijan Grand Prix watch along impromptu. I just thought as I was watching it, maybe some of you are watching it too, and maybe we can watch it together. Yeah, so just started trying to position myself so I can still see the coverage. So with 57 minutes left of free practice one, our first look at how these cars are going to fare on this Baku city street circuit. I don't know about you, but do you like a street circuit? I'm a fan. This circuit in particular, very, very difficult to overtake through the infield section, through the old city. So qualifying is going to be very, very important. So it's going to be interesting just to see on this first free practice to see which car's looking quick. I'm interested to see actually Charles Leclerc. He's my tip for driver of the day for the Grand Prix, because his qualifying performance has been particularly strong here with 4 pole positions. So yeah, first look at how the teams and the cars are going to fare for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Yes, we will. We'll get into it. We're all watching the same feed, I'm sure. Got my coffee. Oh, but look at it. It is pretty magical, isn't it, when you see them going through the old city there, with like 12th century monuments and. I mean, it's quite incredible to see a Grand Prix race going through a city like Baku. But I do love a street circuit. Something I do think there's something magical about it, even though it is so hard to overtake. So this is it. We're going to get our first indication of who's going to look competitive. Is Max? And we get in the chat. Join me. It's all about sharing ideas. So please get in the chat. Do you think Max is going to be able to bring the same performance out of that Red Bull that he did in Monza? You know, we saw him get a pole position and win the race by 20 seconds. I mean, it's the best, really, we've seen the Red Bull car this season. But do you think whatever they've done to the setup of that car or whatever they've done in that team to make that car more competitive, are they going to bring that to Baku? It's a completely different circuit, though, isn't it? Monza was low downforce, incredibly fast. And now they've gone to this tight, twisty, slow to medium speed circuit, very narrow, where it's going to favour those very balanced cars that are solid through the slow corners and the medium speed corners, like McLaren. But then again, you got Ferrari, you got Charles Leclerc, who's put that car on pole 4 times on this circuit. And it's a bit like Monaco. You know, you qualify pole, you can really defend well on this circuit because it's so difficult to overtake. So that's why Leclerc was my top prediction for driver of the day, because I think if he qualifies well, I think you've definitely got a chance of him. Well, it's his best chance of scoring well and podium, dare I even say a win. We'll find out. But what we've got now is basically a first indication how these cars are looking. So as I'm watching it, you're welcome to join me. Get in the chat. Let's have you can ask me any questions you want. If you're interested to know what this street circuit actually looks like, it looks like this. So you can see it's this section here is literally all the infield section coming through the old city. You got the long straight here, where overtaking is possible but still tricky. But yeah, it's a really interesting circuit. It's a good addition, actually, I think, to the F1 calendar. I like it. I do like it. Oh. But we'll get to see what sort of times people are putting in. So Oscar Piastri obviously was a winner here last year. There's all that debate, like Oscar or Lando. I mean, I still favour Oscar Piastri. I still favour Oscar Piastri for becoming this year's world champion. I think we've seen him grow in maturity as a driver. I thought the way he handled the situation at Monza, where he came out publicly defending his team, defending the pit crew member who had the error with the pit gun, costing Lando 4 seconds. The way that he wasn't bitching and moaning about giving that place back, even though a lot of the F1 community felt that it was a racing incident and he shouldn't have had to have swapped positions back with Lando Norris. But, you know, I think he's just showing again what a mature driver he is at 24, 25 years old. I think he's going to be a multiple world champion. I think he's going to win, by the way. But we're going to see. So Norris currently fastest in the first sector in this free practice one. And also the rumours this week. Hadjar. Looks like he's already agreed to take that second Red Bull seat 2026. Yeah, Alex Albon currently on screen. Now, what do you think of Alex Albon? I think he's done exceptionally well this season. What is he currently sat in? Seventh in the driver standings. I mean, that's pretty impressive, isn't it, in that Williams? And when you look at Carlos Sainz down in 18th, I mean, Alexander Albon scored 70 points for Williams this season, whereas Carlos Sainz has only scored 16. And you know what the golden rule is in Formula One? You got to beat your teammate. Well, Alexander Albon has absolutely been doing that all season. Yet Carlos Sainz is still a very popular member of the Williams team, and they do think that he is valuable, and they do think that he is important to that team and the development of the team. There's rumours that if it doesn't work out for Hamilton at Ferrari, that they might be trying to entice him back there, or even Mercedes. If the George Russell thing doesn't work out, then maybe Carlos Sainz is an alternative to him. But it's the top teams, though. They are going to look at Carlos Sainz's results this year, and he hasn't beat his teammate. Simple as that. They'd be better off looking at Alexander Albon. Good driver. Again, maturing. Him and Gasly really maturing this year, I think. We've titled this Battle of Baku. We've tried to make it exciting for your Formula One fans this weekend. The Battle of Baku. Yeah. I mean, it is a battle, isn't it? It's the only thing that's a bit frustrating about this season's Formula One is that the development of the cars really has come to a grinding halt, hasn't it? Because of the 2026 cars and the massive regulation changes and the completely new platforms, new engines, the complete redesign really of the car. There's only a few components that will pass over to 2026, but we're not seeing big developments, big upgrades for the cars now. So the cars pretty much as you see them will be the cars there won't be any major changes, only maybe setup changes. So the car's characteristics will pretty much stay the same. The Mercedes will only work on a cool, dry conditions. It won't work if it's too cold, won't work if it's too hot, won't work in the rain. Yeah. But then again, we did see that Red Bull working in that low downforce, quick track of Monza. Looks like Carlos Sainz just tapped the wall there in free practice 1. Has it caused any damage? Maybe. Yeah, it looks like he's clipped the wall. Might cut his time short. Russell currently with the fastest time in practice, free practice 1. No rookies getting a drive in FP1 today. You know, no reserve drivers getting those all vital super license points from a run in FP1. All the main drivers are out. Because they can do that, obviously. If people are trying to get their, give an opportunity to the third driver, they can schedule their junior drivers to run in FP1. It allows them to gain an extra super license point. They have to complete 100 kilometers, I believe, of incident-free practice racing. But it does help them get those points towards that super license so that it is used. But they have to be scheduled in. I mean, we had a situation, didn't we, where Alonso had a back injury. And it gave an opportunity for Drugovic to do an extra session in free practice 1. But yeah, but that's why sometimes we see in free practice 1, we see the new names, we see some of those those F2 drivers making an appearance, getting a run out, getting that vital experience and those vital super license points. The stars of the future. We say that, but you look at people like Drugovic, who he won F2 and didn't get a drive. He got a drive in Aston Martin's academy, but he didn't get an F1 drive, even though he won F2. And there's people who finish, like you look at Arvid Lindblad, he's like currently 7th in F2, and he's nailed on for a seat at Racing Bulls next year. And a lot of these rookies, it comes down to, it's not about even winning F2 and being the fastest driver. It's also how much money you bring to the sport. And it's one of the things that really gets my goat, this. If you're an F2 driver that's quick, it's not enough. You need to bring a certain amount of sponsorship with you to get a rookie season in F1. Now, I've talked about this before. Lando Norris, who we can all agree is a decent driver. His dad, who owns an investment firm called Hargreaves Lansdown, invested $40 million into McLaren, and that secured Lando Norris' first 3-year rookie contract in McLaren. And that's the game. So we get these good drivers in it who might even win F2 that don't get an opportunity in F1 because they don't bring enough sponsorship. And I think that's really sad. Unless you come through an academy like through Red Bull or the Aston Martin Academy or Mercedes, it's very, very difficult for these rookies to get and secure a drive. Oh, hey, Robert, thanks for joining me. Yeah, on this little watch along. Herta will need them points next year. You're right. And actually, Robert, I don't think they've confirmed it yet, but I did a story on this back in the 13th of July where I was saying that Herta was a real option for Cadillac as a number 3 driver to help it. But obviously he's got the super license points issue. And his problem was in IndyCar this year, he was only 8 points off getting the 40 points required to get his super license. So that meant he would have had to finish, I think it's 3rd or 4th in the Indy Championship to get the required 8 points, which would have taken him to 40. And he's nowhere near, is he? So what it looks like is that, because I thought it was going to be between him and Jack Crawford, actually, because Jack Crawford's only 20, whereas Colton Herta's like 26. And I thought they may go with Jack Crawford because he won the F2 race at Silverstone and he looked really good. But then he dropped off in F2 for the last few races. And I think he put his name up there as a real option. And then his following 3 races, he was nowhere. Hey Simmer, nice to have you in the chat. Yeah, that's it. Aussie friendly time. That's right, for FP1. Yeah, it's not the most exciting of watch-alongs. It's only the first free practice, but at least we get an idea of who looks good. Yeah, yeah, and I think and that's the thing, Robert. Like, so, like Colton Herter, I think though is actually favourite. I think he's actually favourite to get that third seat because Colton Herter is prepared to drop out of IndyCar, go into F2 where you get a lot more super license points, be the third driver at Cadillac, and then step up into that main seat. So I still think Colton Herta is the most likely to get that seat at Cadillac because I think he brings an absolute shit ton of sponsorship with him. And plus, in his rookie seasons, I mean, he was a bit of a phenom, wasn't he, Colton Herta? Didn't he? He won the Indy 500. Forgive me, my IndyCar Championship knowledge isn't fantastic, but he won the Indy 500 and he won Daytona, didn't he? Which is crazy, and I think he did it when he was like 19 or something. You know, he's obviously quick. And I do like the fact that he's able to say, "Hey, I'm gonna go and compete in F2," and he brings that experience with him because if he comes into F2 at 26, when most people in F2 are like 18, 17, 19, like 20, like younger, I wonder what that real world racing experience in IndyCar, bringing that to F2 with people with lesser experiences, without the wins that he's had on major races, he might just crush F2. He might do, and he might just show why he deserves a seat in F1. So it'll be interesting, and I like the fact he's prepared to do that. So I think Colton Herta is looking like a real possibility. I think it's him or Jack Crawford is the truth. But like I said, Jack Crawford, after showing some massive promise at Silverstone, it was a great race win, and then he's just dropped off, absolutely dropped off. So, yeah. So, I don't know. Yeah, Emma, yeah, I do. I'm going to do more watch-alongs. I definitely am. The only thing is, I'll ask you about this, guys. What do you like to see on a watch-along? Because I see other people doing them, and they've got the graphics. They've got, like, the timings graphics. Now, I'll have to work out how I can do that. I have to somehow get that developed in. But the reason why I'm not 100% excited about having all the timings on this screen is because we're watching all the timings and all the graphics on the main television, right? So do we need it duplicating what we're watching on our main broadcasters network with all of the we're all watching the same data? Do we need it on here as well? Because this is supposed to be more like because it's a watch on, we can chat to each other, we can watch the racing, and we can dip in and out, ask questions, share the action. So you're not watching on TV, Semma, right? So you would like some sort of graphical representation of timings on this screen so you could get an idea of how people are doing lap times. You know, would that make it better if you could see the lap times of the drivers in their practice, qualifying, and races? I'm a peasant. You're right. Okay, well, let me work. I'm going to work on that. I think it's possible because there are, you know, I see other YouTubers which have got it, so we'll work it out, and yeah, I'll work out how to do it so we can present the timings properly so you can see how people's qualifying times. But yeah, I definitely think it's an upgrade that I'd like to do. I'm just not sure exactly how I think what I need is somebody. I know where all the data is. I need somebody who's a coder who can take that data and present it for me, and I can do a little graphic. So if you know any good coders who might be able to help me out, I can point them to where the data is and just how they can point it to, and how we can lift that data. That'll be brilliant. Yeah, I'll try and work that out. What I need is I need somebody who's good with code, and I am shocking with code. It took me I built a basic website for F1 Grandstand at f1grandstand.com. I mean, it's okay. I'm going to develop it over time, but I did my best to sort of build a website to have an online presence. Because you got to remember, this channel's only been going, what, seven or 8 weeks? And it was born out of, obviously, my love of Formula One and my passion. And I wanted to do something in this area. I wanted to build like a fan community where everyone can hang out. It's a really cool place to share ideas, discuss what's going on, and have a place where everyone can just drop in once a day and hang out, really, and a really friendly community. Because you're always going to get people. I've met some people who are like professors in F1. And I think it's great that they can be part of the community and get involved, share ideas, and yeah, I think that's the plan. Yeah, well, I'm going to work on that, Sema. I'm definitely going to work on that. I'm going to try and get someone to help me bring all the timings onto the screen so we can have those as well. But yeah, I do like watch songs, because the thing is, I'm watching the content anyway. You know, I'm always watching the practice sessions, qualify sessions, sprint races, and obviously the Grand Prix. So, you know, it's nice to all hang out together while we're doing it. And at the moment, just to give you, they're all in the pits at the moment. You're not missing anything, Summer. At the moment, Norris is putting the fastest time in practice, Russell second. Leclerc's put the third fastest in, Verstappen fourth. Tsunoda fifth. Not that this means much at this early stage. There's still 37 minutes left of free practice. But this first free practice session, it's just to give us an idea of who's either way off the pace and who's, you know, kind of competitive. Hadjar, P7 at the moment, Hamilton P6. I'm expecting Leclerc to dominate Hamilton this weekend, though. I'm not expecting this weekend to be Hamilton's weekend where he suddenly beats his teammate. This is a specialist track for Leclerc. Like I said, he's had 4 pole positions. Yeah, Robert, I agree. Alexander Albon, he's gone under the radar a bit this year. He really is having a solid season for Williams. And obviously, the first comparison is, well, just look at the points. Alexander Albon's currently sat on 70 points, P7 in the driver's standings. And then you got Carlos Sainz, who's all the way down in P18, who's only scored 16 points. And the first rule of Fight Club, or the first rule of Formula One is, you got to beat your teammate. And Alexander Albon has really shown that, you know, he's taken Carlos Sainz to school this year. Facts. And I like Carlos Sainz. I think he's a good driver. I really appreciated him at Ferrari. I thought he did a good job. But to be so far behind Alexander Albon, and he's had mechanical failures. He's had excuses and reasons of why he's not been competitive compared to his teammate. But you can't. And I tell you who else, Robert, who I think's having a great season, which again goes under the radar. You've got Alexander Albon, who's doing exceptionally well. Esteban Ocon in the Haas. He scored 28 points. You know, 13th in the driver championship. And that car is not great. Like, that Haas car is not great. Esteban Ocon, again, going under the radar with... I did a show which we used the gift of maths and did an overperformance index of where we projected the drivers should be in the drivers' championships with the car they're driving and where they're actually performing. And do you know who was number 1 in the overperformance index halfway through the season? Esteban Ocon. He scored a 7.5. 0 on the overperformance index meant you're performing as expected in the team. 7.5 he scored. He was number 1 in the overperformance index. And do you know who was number 2? Pierre Gasly in the Alpine. And you know, Pierre Gasly has scored 20 points in that Alpine. Obviously, Colapinto, Duhan, neither driver has scored any points for Alpine. Gasly. And Gasly has been rewarded with a new deal taking him to the end of 2028, which was a good move for Alpine because Pierre Gasly, under the radar again, doing a great job in a car that really is not a great car. I mean, it's the Alpine is arguably the worst car on the grid, and Pierre Gasly bringing the car home in the points, which brings me to the whole. I talk about Cadillac a lot for next season. Now, the most important thing for Cadillac to do is what? Bring the car home in the points. Your first season in Formula One, I don't care who you are, is going to be horrible, right? It is going to be horrible. You got no data from previous cars. You haven't even got an old car to test. That. So Cadillac are they've bought old Ferraris from 23. They've bolted new bits on, aero bits, suspension bits, etc. And they're using that car for real-world testing. So Cadillac are going to come into the sport in 2026. And honestly, as much as I want the fairy tale of them to be super competitive, they're probably not. And so what they need to is bring the car home in the points and pick up the ones and twos, which is why it was a genius move for them to take two drivers, Sergio Perez and Valtteri Bottas, who are proven to bring the car home in the points. Like, you've got 60% of Bottas's races, he brought the car home in the points. 67% of Sergio Perez's races, and don't forget, these drivers this season, both of them have done over 250 Grand Prix. Perez has done, I think, 280, Bottas has done like 250, and both of those drivers, over 60% and 67% of the time, have brought the car home in the points, which is why Cadillac did the right thing going for 2 seasoned drivers, and they secured them for 2-year deals, which was the right move. It was the right move. So Semma's watching and listening in the background while I cook dinner. Brilliant. Semma, what are you cooking for dinner? Tell me what you're having for dinner. Yeah, no, I know. I know what you mean, Robert, like about Ocon. Like, he's not everyone's favourite driver, to be honest, but we can't deny Ocon is having a good season in the Haas. Obviously, he's driving for Haas next season as well. He's secured 2026 drive for them, as has Oliver Behrman. Oh, bangers and mash! Oh, Semma's having bangers and mash. Have you got with gravy? Have you made a nice gravy, Semma? Have you got like an onion gravy to go with that bangers and mash? I love a bangers and mash. Oh, I'm all in. What type of sausages? Do you go for those fancy pork and apple sausages, or do you go for just your standard pork sausages? Because I had a couple of them fancy, the pork and apple. They were nice. Oh, I quite liked a bit of pork and apple. No gravy, Semma? No gravy? That's crazy. That is crazy. That is crazy talk. You've got to have gravy with bangers and mash. I don't know if we can be friends anymore. I don't know if we can be friends anymore. Wagyu beef? Oh my God, you're posh. Everyone, anyone needs a loan? Semma's your girl. Semma's got Wagyu beef sausages. I said girl, could be guy. I'm guessing. Don't know why I said. I'm guessing Semma's a girl's name, but I don't know. It could be anything. It could be a guy's name. Please don't be offended. Please clarify in the chat. But either way, Semma's got the money. We know that. Oh, you need a loan for F1 TV. Yeah. I'm a guy. It's okay, Semma. Just checking. Because it just... Do you know what it's because... I know a girl called Semma. But thank you for clearing that up, Semma. Yeah, but Semma, yeah, I get it. No gravy, though. Still crazy. But Wagyu beef sausages, that is some posh stuff. Oh, that Sky Dragon in Maltese. That's very cool. That is very cool. Sky Dragon. That might be the coolest name I've ever heard. Yeah. I'll get better at it, Semma. I promise, bro. I'll work this out. But yeah, bangers and mash. I'm all in on that. So what I like about this Azerbaijan circuit is as they go through, I know you can't see this, Semma, but as they go through the old city, it's quite spectacular. They've got like the 12th century buildings, and it's like almost looks like a little castle, and it's old town, and the walls are really right next to the track. So any mistake, the car is ending up in the wall. It's obviously the same as Monaco. Incredibly difficult to overtake on this track. It narrows to just 25 feet in places, which is incredibly narrow. It's where we saw Charles Leclerc have his accident. I think it was 2017. But they're taking us through the track now. I know you can't see it, but gosh, it's narrow. It's incredible. You got a castle on one side, the old buildings on the other side, and as you come up towards the monument, it's quite an incredible view driving round this circuit. But there are real bottlenecks where it's almost can cause a traffic jam. If you've got track position, which is why qualifying is so important, you really can bunch up the entire field, which is why Charles Leclerc is my prediction for driver of the day for the Grand Prix. Because if Leclerc puts in one of his blistering hot qualifying laps and he qualifies on pole, let's say he does, let's say he qualifies on pole, because of the way the track is, he could literally bunch up the entire field and hold position for 51 laps. It's possible. It is possible, especially because of the size of the cars. And actually, Robert in the chat's gone, I think these cars are too big. Yeah, the width of the cars is going to change for 2026. They're getting narrower. The Pirellis, the tyres are narrower, the cars are narrower. We're getting rid of ground effect, so it's going to rely on the active aero, and suspension is now going to play a much bigger part, because the ground effect era cars only work by keeping that air skirt flat. Meant that the ground effect era cars, the suspension's like granite. There's no movement at all. But now they've got rid of the ground effects and we're going for active aero. The tyres are narrower. The cars are going to be narrower in 2026. The 50% electrification. So what that basically means is that we're going to see a different type of, well, we are going to see a different type of driving style, but we are going to, hopefully, their view is that it's going to generate closer racing. I'm not sure that's going to be the case, to be honest. V10 fully renewable is the way to go for thinner cars to get the sound back. I'm with you, Robert. I did a video actually yesterday or the day before. It's actually going to be V8s are going to come back. Yeah. So I don't think it's going to be V10s. Toto Wolff let slip that the consensus between the F1 manufacturers is V8s, naturally aspirated, is the sweet spot for them from a cost of production point of view and sustainable fuels, and hitting the sustainable fuels target. And also, Mercedes, Toto's probably thinking, yeah, we know how to build a V8. But having said that, tell me the greatest V8 ever made in a road car. I'll wait. I'll tell you what I think it is. It's Ferrari's V8, 458, Ferrari 458, naturally aspirated V8. The best V8 ever made in a road car. Ferrari know how to build a V8. Mercedes know how to build a V8. Oh yeah, exactly. I would love to hear the V10s again. You know, of course I would. I just don't think they're going to go. They are going to rewind. To move forward, they've got to rewind, right? They've got to get rid of this electrification. We've got to ditch this V6 nonsense. But I would love the V10s to come back. But I think the next iteration of engine is going to be naturally aspirated V8. And like I said, if you watch my video on V8s are back, I sort of indicate why. It's because Toto Wolff had let slip the conversations that are going on with the manufacturers. Is that's what they're happy with, because the cost of producing engines is ridiculous. And I'm gonna bring on another point about this. I've been banging on about this. I know not everyone agrees with me, but I think in the pinnacle of motorsport, each team should have a unique engine, a unique power unit. I don't agree with Mercedes supplying 4 out of 11 teams with power units. I don't agree with Ferrari supplying 3 teams out of 11 with power units. I understand why it's necessary because of the cost involved and you want to bring new teams in. But I think we've got to be working towards every team having a unique power unit. It can be like an arrangement like Aston Martin have got with Honda, but unique engines. And the reason why I say this is because the integrity of the sport comes into question. If there is a relationship between other teams through engine supply, I think that can affect the integrity of what's going on in the race. And not to mention Red Bull having 2 teams on the grid, so they effectively control 4 cars instead of 2. Even though the FIA say they can't share data, the teams are independent, we know they're not. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to just, Laurent Mekies could decide, we're taking your driver, Isaac Hadjar, going to Red Bull next season. It drives me nuts. I just really think that the pinnacle of motorsport, we should be working towards a place where every team has their own engine, where all their components are bespoke. that's, I'm not sure buying, like Haas, literally 80% of their car is bought from the Ferrari parts bin. Now, it's great to have Haas on the grid, but we're in a boom time for F1. This is the boom time for Formula One, the growth in America. I think with the growth in America, like the sport is still got room to grow. More money's coming in. So that's my view on the engines. But I'm going to go to the chat. So Robert Wilson, it's meant to be 16,000 revs when it comes in. Wish it was in 26. If the team didn't say no more, we'd have it in 2026. Yeah, I think they limited it to 15,000 RPM, didn't they? So I think with V8s, I think there'll be 15,000 RPM is my guess. Still, 15,000 RPM V8 screaming is still pretty spectacular. Okay, so we've got a chat. So I'm curious. So this is from SHT K-pop Motorsport fan. I'm just curious, which F1 team is your dark horse going to 2026? I love this question. So I do have a dark horse. I'd have a dark horse for 2026. And a lot of people are going to laugh me out. But for me, it's Williams. Because you've got Vols, engineer at the top of that team. That's taken Williams from P9 to P5. And I think that what he is going to bring to the table as an engineer in that Williams team and the way he's brought this team together, and because I love it when we get major regulation changes, it's an opportunity for every team to suddenly become competitive, because the designs and how they're going to interpret the new regulations and the rules gives every team an opportunity to bring something quite radical, and you could see a team like Williams becoming competitive. But that's what I love about this sport, and that's why I love the major regulation changes. However, this isn't really a dark horse. I'll tell you who I think is going to be uber competitive, and because Aston Martin have got Adrian Newey, who's literally designed the 2026 car, the most decorated man in Formula One. He's won 13 constructors titles, 13 drivers titles, and he's now an owner at Aston Martin, and he's going to bring his best work possible. And I heard on the grapevine by my man on the ground, Toby George, that he has found some serious loopholes. I believe Aston Martin are going to be uber competitive next year. I do. I think first season, regulation changes. I think we could see Aston Martin at the top. I think we could see Williams competitive. I'm expecting Mercedes engine to be good. I'm unsure about the Ferrari engine, to be honest, that power unit, for the simple reason that they lost Schmidt and Zimmerman from the development team, the lead engineer, the lead designer at Ferrari's engine, who's jumped ship before that engine's even hit the grid, and he's jumped ship to go to Audi. Now, my thinking behind that, why I think Ferrari might be in trouble with their power unit next year, is because, look, if I'm the lead designer of a power unit and that power unit's about to hit the grid in 2026 and it's in three teams, Ferrari, Haas and Cadillac, and I'm proud of this power unit, I think it's going to be strong, well, my value at the end of 2026 as that engineer is going to go through the roof. And I want my name associated with it. But if I've been developing an engine which I think is actually in a load of trouble, and it's not going to be great, and I get an offer from Audi to go and join them, and I don't care that, and I don't want my name associated with that Ferrari power unit as a lead engineer, well, I'm going to leave. So I have real concerns about the Ferrari power unit at the moment for 2026. I do. I really do, because of those facts. Yeah, Aston Martin, I'm going to go back to the chat. So, Motorsport fan, honestly, I would love to see it if Aston Martin and Williams at the front from 20. I would as well. I would, because I remember the glory days in the 90s when Frank Williams was running that team. And really, Adrian Newey designing the cars as well for Williams. Managing to get a driver like Damon Hill. Like, I'm not knocking Damon Hill. He's a good driver, but he wasn't the best driver on the grid. This was at a time that Senna was on the grid. Alain Prost was on the grid. Michael Schumacher was on the grid. True God tier drivers. And Damon Hill wins a world championship. Nigel Mansell did the same thing in a Williams with Adrian Newey designing those cars. You know, Nigel Mansell was a great driver. Was he better than Senna? Was he better than Alain Prost? He might have been just a little bit below them, to be honest. Good driver though. So yeah, I'm here for it. I would like to see Williams back up there competitive. Aston Martin though, it's about Adrian Newey. Again, I go on about it. I sound like an Adrian Newey super fan, but I have to credit where it's due. Look at what Christian Horner said at Red Bull for their successful stint and winning those constructors titles. Christian Horner went on record saying the best signing he ever made for the Red Bull team was not Sebastian Vettel, was not Max Verstappen, it was Adrian Newey. So yeah, Aston Martin securing him and giving him shares in the team and making him an owner was a very, very clever move. Okay, so we've just got 17 minutes left of P1. I'll give you a quick update. Norris still currently with the fastest time in free practice. Piastri hasn't really set a time yet. He hasn't set a time. He's just come out on track now. Let's see what he can do. So the fastest track time at the moment, Norris with the 1:43.7. Russell, second, 4/10 behind. Leclerc, P3 at the moment. Lawson's put in a time, 6/10 off Norris. He's currently P4. Verstappen, P5. These times don't mean a great deal. It just gives an indication of where they're at. So I'm expecting to see McLaren the fastest, to be honest, in FP1. But it is interesting to get an indication. Albon's up there. Lawson's up there. See, Lawson's driving for his career. He's driving for his drive. Because Laurent Mekies has said that Yuki is in contention for a Racing Bull seat in 2026. He's definitely lost his Red Bull seat. Hadjar and Max will be driving for Red Bull next year. But he's in contention for the Racing Bull seat that Liam Lawson currently sits in because Arvid Lindblad is going to take the other Racing Bull seat. So there's one seat left. And it's Lawson or Sonoda. So Lawson's driving for his life in these last few Grand Prix of the season to secure that 2026 seat. And he's putting a good time. Currently P4 in FP1. So you can tell. Motorsport fan. Also, Honda can't be underestimated either, especially Andy Cowell is also overlooking the engine side of things, even though he's a team principal. Do you know what? I couldn't agree more. Honda have got Formula One pedigree. The fact that Aston Martin have secured that relationship with Honda, I think is a brilliant move. Lawrence Stroll has done two brilliant things at Aston Martin. Adrian Newey, brilliant thing number one, securing him and securing an exclusive relationship with the Honda engines, for the Honda engines next season. I 100% agree. Whatever you think of Lawrence Stroll, the guy, he's not playing around, is he? He's put his own money into the team. He still kept the Aston Martin name, even though Aston Martin don't really have any fiscal responsibility for the team. But he still gets to dip into the resources as needed from that company. And Lawrence Stroll just put another 50 million. Lawrence Stroll is not effing around, I'm telling you. He wants Aston Martin to win. And he's got that extra motivator because he wants his son to be world champion. And he probably knows deep down that his son isn't the best driver on the grid. But give him a car that's better than everyone else's, he has a chance at becoming world champion, whether we like it or not. So that he's got that added thing. He's got that added impetus. He wants his son to be world champion. And a lot of that will be ego for himself with Lawrence Stroll, because with a billionaire, you want your name to be its legacy. And his legacy lives on. Cosworth are the best engine builders. Well, they were for Lotus, weren't they? That relationship, wasn't it, with Colin Chapman and Cosworth was great. I don't know why we don't see Cosworth engines anymore. I mean, I know we've got Red Bull building these powertrains with Ford, but you're right. Cosworth could come back into F1. It'd be a great name to have on the grid, wouldn't it? Summer, Stroll has to be careful as not to do what Toyota did with just throw dollars around, but I have a good feeling they'll do well. Yeah, I know what you mean. I get the feeling that Lawrence Stroll, though, is the reason why he's a billionaire is because he knows how to spend the money, where to spend the money. And to be fair, with Aston Martin, he bought that company for 400 million to get controlling interest. And as far as I can tell, he's turned the road cars around. From an Aston Martin fan of their cars, he's improved the Aston Martin road cars a lot. He's moved away from all of the Mercedes parts, apart from the engine, but he's got a better sat nav, he's got better infotainment, the interior cabin's much better in all their cars. He's still building cars that are not hybrid for a start. You know, he stayed away from electrification. I think Lawrence Stroll's a pretty astute businessman. So we've just seen Verstappen put in the second fastest time in FP1. Norris still P1. Russell's on an outlap. He's currently P3. So we've got 12 minutes left of FP1. We haven't seen Piastri put in a quick time yet. He's on a lap now. Yeah, you're right, Robert. Adrian Newey was the best thing that Lawrence Stroll has ever done for that team. And we're going to see, we've already seen the impact, by the way, let me just say something about Adrian Newey. He wasn't supposed to be working on the 25 car, but have you seen that 25 car improve over the last 3 races? The major upgrade they brought, I think it was Hungary. Cars got better, right? Well, that's because Adrian Newey helped. Apparently, not his remit. He's here to do the 2026 car, but he has had some guidance on minor upgrades for that car for the rest of the season, and you can see the impact already. But I can't wait to see his car in 2026 because I've heard he's doing some funky stuff around the cockpit, literally designing the cockpit around the driver in such a way that's never been done before, which was why we didn't see any driver changes actually for next year, because Adrian Newey's been working on the design and the aero for this car since the start of the year, and the cockpits apparently are so bespoke to Lance Stroll and Fernando Alonso. Not just the seat design, not just the movable parts, but actually the way the monocoque is built. It sounds quite fascinating what he's doing with it. Yeah, Lando's showing all his cards again. Well, Lando's currently P1 at the minute. He's fastest. Piastri P3, and he's 1.1 seconds slower than Norris in this first practice. Antonelli, how's he doing? Because he needs to book his ideas up for this Grand Prix after Toto Wolff scathing post-race interview where he said to Kimi Antonelli, he said it was underwhelming. He's looking for a response from Kimi Antonelli because Kimi Antonelli's fighting for his drive for next season. He really is. So yeah, he really is fighting for his drive. So he needs to put in a performance, and he's P6 at the minute. 10 minutes left of practice. We're not going to see everyone's best lap. This is just an opportunity to put a marker down. Let's see what we can do with the setups. Let's see where the car's at. Get out in free practice 1. Put a marker down. Give them an indication of how the car's handling on the street circuit. And we will see the cars improve, obviously. So this first session, we're not expecting anything magical. Leclerc put that Ferrari P2. He's 5/10 behind Norris. We are expecting all of these times to improve by the time we get into free practice 2, which is at 1 o'clock. So yeah, in a couple of hours' time, 1 o'clock today, we'll come back for free practice 2. I love doing this. I'm going to be watching it anyway, so it's better that we watch it together. Yeah, so I'm going to come back to your chat. So Every F1 is always the fastest, but Oscar is watching the telemetry. Yeah, I think Oscar is still my tip to win this race. He really is. And Robert says he is, and Kimi needs a good finish. Pretty sure he will crash. Don't really hope he doesn't. That's so funny you should say that, Robert. So funny you should say that. Because I said this in my preview show last night. I do an item which isn't very nice, but it's just for a bit of fun. It's I call it dipstick of the day in my preview show. Who I think's going to be, who's going to have a stinker? And it was between Kimi Antonelli and Yuki Tsunoda for me because of the pressure both those drivers are under. And Kimi Antonelli is under so much pressure, and this track is so unforgiving. The walls are so tight. You know, you make a mistake, you're in the wall and you're out. And I agree with you. I actually felt that Kimi needs a strong performance here, but I don't think he's going to finish. I think the pressure is going to be so much for that rookie driver. I'm expecting him to put it in the wall. I know that's harsh, but if I'm being honest, that's what I think. I wanted to prove me wrong, but I think that's what's going to happen with Kimi Antonelli. I think he's going to put the car in the wall. And if he doesn't, fair play. Prove me wrong. Put in a good drive. Get a good points finish. But I think the pressure is mounting on Kimi Antonelli. So yeah, I agree with you there, Robert. Yeah, exactly that. Tight track, big cars, impossible to overtake, under immense amount of pressure. George Russell will keep the car on the track for sure. He'll put in a performance like he has done all season. If Russell qualifies well, I think he's top 5 finish for Russell. I don't think he's a podium finisher. I think Leclerc is... We've always got one wild card podium finisher, right? I think it's always going to be Piastri, Norris, and another. I think the other is going to be Leclerc for me. I think his qualifying performance here has been consistent. Horrible to overtake on this track. So yeah, I think Leclerc puts in a great qualifying performance, maybe even a P2 qualifying, maybe even a pole. But I think my prediction for Leclerc was definite podium, possible win, unlikely but possible. But yeah, definitely I think Leclerc's my driver of the day prediction with a podium finish in that subpar Ferrari. Where are the Aston Martins at the moment in this free practice, actually? So, Alonso P16, Stroll P17, nothing too exciting. They're not showing any real pace in this free practice just yet. 5 minutes left. Well, Norris, still the fastest guy on the track. Leclerc, 5/10 behind him, P2. Verstappen's a second off Norris's pace. Tsunoda's a second off Norris's pace, but he has put in a faster lap than Verstappen in this free practice session. Yeah, good, Robert. Yeah, come back for free practice 2 at 1 o'clock. I'll be back. I'll be watching it. We can watch it together. See if there's any improvements. In like I said, this free practice one it's never gonna be anything too exciting. We're just gonna get an idea of how these cars are looking. But even Piastri's down in P7. Hamilton, P14. He's not put any lap in that's of any consequence, to be fair. In practice 2, we'll see cars wanting to put in a quick lap, for sure. But they'll tweak their setups. So Verstappen just had a little lock-up, flat spot in his tyre, possibly. That'll probably hamper any sort of time he's going to put in this free practice session. But we are coming to the last few minutes, the last lap or two from the drivers. Oh, slight technical problem. I've lost my feed. If anything exciting is happening right now, I can't see it. Give me 2 seconds, bringing it back up. Here we go. So Leclerc on a lap at the moment. Is he going to put in? Is he going to improve on his P2 time? No, just 3 minutes left. Oh, Piastri has put in a faster time, actually. Okay, so we've got Norris P1, Piastri P2. Norris actually put in not a bad time there. He's been fastest for about half an hour, actually. Verstappen locking up. That is, yeah, that's not good news. That he's finding the limits though. The thing is with Verstappen, his whole race weekend is gearing up to that, like in practice, to gearing up to that quick qualifying lap that he does, and he tends to do it right at the end of qualifying. His car, he's not competitive. He's finding the limits, finding the limits, and then last 3 minutes of qualifying, you'll see him pop up and put in a pole performance. It's classic Verstappen. But it's so unforgiving if you're watching the. I know some of you aren't actually watching the footage, but when you're on board with in the driver's cockpit, you just see how narrow this track is and how close the walls are. It's so unforgiving. Yeah, he writes Semmer. Verstappen's Monza win, credit where it's due. It was freaking epic. It was. All weekend, his qualifying performance was outstanding, where he just got that toe from Tsunoda and he got him an extra 3/10 in qualifying. And then to have the race pace. Unexpected, if I'm honest, for that Red Bull to be that competitive. Unexpected, but he did, and he was brilliant. Didn't put a foot wrong, and to win by 20 seconds was just, honestly, was outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. 40 seconds left. Anyone put on a time? Nothing too exciting. Oh, we've got a yellow flag out anyway. So we're not going to see any improvements now. Norris P1, Piastri P2, Leclerc P3, Russell P4, Albon P5, Tsunoda P6, Verstappen P7, Carlos Sainz with a P8, Lawson P9, Hadjar P10, Hulkenberg P11, Hamilton P12, Antonelli P13, Behrman P14, Bortoletto P15, Alonso P16, Ocon P17, Stroll P18, Colapinto P19, Gasly P20. Neither of the Alpines put in any sort of significant lap time. Yeah, perfect. Dinner just about ready. Well, that's good. You can go and enjoy. That's the end of free practice. Go and enjoy your dinner, Semmer. I'm going to be back at 1 o'clock GMT for FP2. We'll see if there's anything that's a bit more competitive. But McLaren, unsurprisingly, P1, P2. Leclerc, P3. We will see improvements. We will see improvements for sure in free practice too. But I'm really glad. Thank you, Semmer, and thank you, Robert, and thank you to everyone else who's been in the chat. We've had lots of good banter. I've had Motorsport Fan in there as well. Like, really good. Love it. Thanks for joining me while I'm watching free practice. I will be back in a couple of hours for free practice 2. Set a notification. Come and join me. We'll see if there's any improvements. Albon, notably up there, P5. Again, faster than his teammate who was in P8 for Sainz. But yeah, we'll keep the chat going. And I will see you for free practice 2 in just a short while. Thanks so much for joining me. See you then. Ta-ta.